Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest challenges for English learners, how to actually think in English rather than constantly translate in your mind. If you've ever found yourself mentally translating from your native language before speaking English, getting stuck mid-conversation, or feeling exhausted after speaking English for just a short time, this video is for you. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that most English teachers don't tell you. Knowing grammar rules and memorizing vocabulary lists isn't enough to become fluent. The real game changer is when you can skip the translation step and connect your thoughts directly to English. Today I'm going to share 8 proven strategies to help you think in English. I've used these strategies myself. When you first learn English, your brain builds a specific pathway. First, you think in your native language, then you translate that thought, then you speak in English. This 3-step process is slow, exhausting, and actually prevents fluency. Here's why. By the time you've finished this mental translation, the conversation has moved on. You're constantly playing catch-up, feeling frustrated, and missing opportunities to practice. The solution isn't practicing more translation, it's eliminating translation. What we want is a direct pathway between your thoughts and English expression. Just like in your native language, where you don't consciously think about the words you're using, they just come naturally. When you see a dog, do you consciously think that's a dog in your native language? Know that the concept and the word are directly connected in your brain. That's exactly what we need to achieve with English. The science behind this is fascinating. When we learn our first language as children, we form direct neural connections between concepts and words. A child sees a ball, hears ball, and the connection forms. No translation is needed. As adults learning a second language, we typically rely on translation because it's easier initially. But here's the good news, our brains remain plastic throughout our lives. We can create new neural pathways at any age, it just takes the right approach and consistent practice. Now, let's get into the practical strategies that will help you start thinking in English today. The first strategy is creating an environment where translation isn't an option. Here's how to start. Begin by labeling objects around your home with their English names. Simple things like door, window, cup, or phone. Each time you see or use that object, force yourself to think of the English word, not the word in your native language. This strategy leverages direct association. By repeatedly connecting the object directly to its English name, you stop translating it in your native language. Start with concrete nouns, things you can see and touch. Then progress to actions, emotions, and more abstract concepts. I recommend starting with just 10 objects and practicing for a week before adding more. The key is consistency. You need to create those neural pathways through repetition. Your inner monologue, that voice in your mind that narrates your day, is your most powerful tool for language learning. Try this. For just 5 minutes each day, force yourself to think deliberately in English. Describe what you're doing, seeing, or feeling all in your mind, all in English. For example, while making breakfast, you might think, I'm cracking an egg. The coffee smells good. I'm hungry this morning. I wonder if it will rain today. If you don't know a specific word, try to find another way to express the idea using words you do know, or make a note to look it up later. Over time, these deliberate practice sessions will become more natural, and eventually, your inner voice will switch to English without conscious effort. Language isn't just logical, it's deeply emotional. We remember words and phrases better when they're connected to emotional experiences. Think about it, this is why people often remember curse words or terms of endearment in foreign languages. They carry emotional weight. To apply this strategy, seek out emotional connections to English. Watch shows that make you laugh or cry. Listen to music that moves you. Read stories that captivate you. Have meaningful conversations about topics you care about. When you connect emotionally with content in English, you're not studying anymore, you're experiencing the language. And somehow, that makes everything stick better. Beyond vocabulary, thinking in English means internalizing the structural patterns of the language. Focus on mastering common English sentence structures until they become automatic. Practice thinking in these patterns rather than constructing sentences from scratch each time. For example, English often follows the subject-verb-object order. By internalizing these patterns, you reduce the cognitive load of forming sentences. Memorize phrases like "I'm thinking about" or "I wonder if," and use them as starting points. These give you confidence because you know you're using the correct structures. Try taking one structure each week and using it repeatedly in different contexts. Soon, you'll find yourself reaching for these patterns automatically. Dreaming in a new language is often considered a significant milestone. It suggests that the language is being integrated at a deeper level of cognition. While you can't force yourself to dream in English, you can increase the likelihood by saturating your day with the language, especially before bedtime. Try listening to English podcasts, audiobooks, or music as you fall asleep. This keeps your brain processing the language even as you rest. The first time you have a dream in English, you'll know you're making real progress. Language isn't just vocabulary and grammar. It's idioms, cultural references, humor, social norms, all these unwritten rules that native speakers just know. Consume English language media, read books, watch movies, and most importantly, form genuine connections with native speakers. Each relationship you form with a native speaker becomes a window into the culture. Stop seeing these interactions as language practice and start seeing them as genuine human connections. The biggest obstacle to thinking in English is perfectionism. When you're constantly monitoring for errors, you can't develop automatic language processing. If your goal is to sound perfect, you'll never speak freely. If your goal is to communicate, you'll improve naturally through practice. Think of language learning as a spiral rather than a ladder. You'll revisit the same concepts repeatedly, each time with deeper understanding. Remember, fluency isn't about knowing every word or never making mistakes. It's about communicating effectively and thinking directly in the language. Release the pressure of perfection and embrace the learning process. Your confidence will grow, and with it, your ability to think in English. Our brains naturally organize concepts in clusters. Accelerate your progress by learning vocabulary in related groups rather than random word lists. For example, instead of memorizing random words, create a cluster around coffee shop with related terms like barista, espresso, order, cup, flavor, and so on. By organizing words by context rather than alphabetically or randomly, you create more meaningful neural networks. This mimics how native speakers actually store and retrieve language. When you think in word clusters, you can find the words you need through association rather than translation. How do you know if these strategies are working? Watch for these signs of progress. You respond automatically to questions without mentally translating. You find yourself thinking random thoughts in English during the day. You dream in English occasionally. You understand humor and jokes without explanation. You stop counting or doing math in your native language. You express emotions spontaneously in English. You're able to think of concepts that don't exist in your native language. The moment you realize you've been thinking in English without noticing it, that's when you know you're succeeding. Now let's address some common challenges you might face. Challenge number 1, mental fatigue solution. Start with short practice sessions, 5 to 10 minutes, and gradually increase duration. Your mental stamina will build over time. Challenge number 2, vocabulary gap solution. Instead of reverting to your native language, practice circumlocution, describing the concept using words you do know. Challenge number 3, specialized terminology solution. Create domain-specific word clusters for your field. Immerse yourself in field-specific content. Challenge number 4, inconsistent practice solution. Integrate English thinking into daily routines rather than treating it as a separate steady activity. Challenge number 5, feeling fake or inauthentic solution. Recognize that your English-speaking self is still you, just expressing yourself through a different linguistic lens. Let me share a practical daily routine to implement these strategies. Morning, 15 minutes. Wake up and do your morning routine while narrating in English. Read or listen to something in English during breakfast. Write down 3 thoughts for the day in English. During the day, set reminders to switch to English thinking for 5 minutes. Label new objects or concepts you encounter. Practice one-sentence structure repeatedly in different contexts. Evening, 30 minutes. Consume English content you genuinely enjoy. Reflect on your day in English, spoken or written. Listen to English audio as you fall asleep. Remember, consistency trumps intensity. 15 minutes daily will yield better results than 3 hours once a week. Once you've mastered the basics, try these advanced strategies. Strategy number 1, single language dictionary. Switch to an English-only dictionary. This forces you to understand definitions in English rather than through translation. Strategy number 2, language journaling. Keep a journal where you document your language learning journey in English only. Write about challenges, breakthroughs, and observations. Strategy number 3, specialized immersion. Immerse yourself in English content specific to your field, hobby, or interest. This builds specialized vocabulary clusters. Strategy number 4, shadow speaking. Listen to native speakers and repeat what they say with the same intonation and rhythm. This builds muscle memory and natural speech patterns. Strategy number 5, teach what you learn. Explaining concepts in English to others reinforces your own understanding and ability to think in the language. To wrap up, thinking in English is not an overnight achievement, it's a gradual process of rewiring your brain. The key strategies we covered today are: immersion without translation, English inner monologue, emotional connection, thinking structures, dream preparation, cultural immersion, growth mindset, vocabulary clusters. Remember that this journey is yours. Some strategies will resonate more than others, and that's perfectly fine. The important thing is consistency and patience with yourself. The moment you stop translating and start thinking in English is the moment the world opens up in new ways. Not just in terms of communication, but in how you perceive, process, and engage with the world around you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone struggling with speaking in English. Drop a comment below with your biggest challenge in thinking in English,